Okay, hi, this is Mr. Roche. We are working to do our arpeggios. So what I wanted to do tonight was do some coding so we could get that going. So again, what's an arpeggio? You know what that is, right? It's just notes to
Alright, so
to a
what is an
chord.
arpeggio anyway? Well, an arpeggio is playing the chord tones of whatever chord you're in um, with one hand in a broken fashion, but spread over multiple octaves. Now, if that sounds confusing, maybe you should just watch me play this and I'll basically clear everything up. Okay, so say we're in C major, just for easiness sake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be playing this note, this note, this note. So
Okay,
those notes.
so this guy uses two scales, like, and we're just going to use one octave. We're just going to go bum 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 bum. Okay. So we want to write that. We want to have that happen when the button occurs. Okay. So thanks to this guy Leiper and his School of Music, but we want to get to Arduino. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to make a new Arduino file. Okay. And notice that there's two basic basic parts to an Arduino um, program. There's a setup part and there's a loop part. Okay, that's what you need. You just need this and this. Okay. Now, what we did what we need to do is we need to set up some code that's going to run our button. The button's actually easy to do. Okay, now reviewing what we did, basically what we're doing is we're following like this example where we have power and ground going to a board. We have a power side to a switch, and we have a negative side to a switch where the negative signal is going to go into pin number 2, and to maintain grounding there's a resistor on the other side of the circuit. Okay, these aren't necessary here. um, so we have the same kind of thing going on. Okay, but what's basically going on for us is that we are going into pin number 2. So for our Arduino, so for our Arduino code, since we're going into this pin, I want to set up an integer. Okay, I'm going to call this button pin, and I'm going to set it equal to 2 to make sure that it's on the right, um, um, pin. Okay, and then I'm going to have another integer called button state. And initially I'm going to set that equal to 0. Okay, so with two things. So when you push the button, I need to know whether it's on or off. And what pin 2 will give you is it gives you kind of an on or off, or 1 or 0 kind of state. Okay, and that will run the button. Okay, and that's what we need. If you really wanted to, you could make this a define, or you could make this a constant. I think it's like that, constant integer button pin. But this one actually varies. Okay, so either way, like in Arduino land, it's fine. It's not such a big deal. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to set this pin number 2. Pin number 2 can be either an output or input pin. We want to set it to input. So we're going to say pin mode, and that's the button pin. Okay, and I want it to be for input. Okay, so I know it's like stuff's coming in. Okay. And then, and that's good. And then what we're actually want to do is we're going to want to serial out this a little bit, because we need to be able to communicate with MIDI, and we might want to also communicate with the serial port in the in Arduino to sort of do air checking and stuff like that. So I'm going to say serial dot begin. Okay, and I'm actually going to use the baud rate that we're using in I mean, normally like normal Arduinos might use like 9600, something like that, but we're going to use I think it's 38400 for the baud speed, because that seems to be working well with our MIDI stuff. So we're going to do that. Okay, and then we can actually look at things and notice what's going on. Okay, so In the loop phase, okay, so this is just a one-time, this is just a one-time initial setup. Okay, so the first time you run the program, it's going to do this, and then the thing is the loop's going to return and return and return. The loop continues. Loop will like kind of loop and loop and loop again and again and again and again and again. Okay, and that's great. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use that to our advantage. So what's gonna happen is anytime the loop triggers, I want to look at the button state. I want to figure out what's going on. So I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna say button state equals digital read, and then I want to do it from the button pin. So I'm going to say, hey, do this, go look at number 2, and tell me what's going on. Okay? And you have two states. The state can either be on or off. That's why it's a digital thing. So if you're going to go like this, you're going to say if button state equals 1, equals 1, then we're going to basically do something. Okay? What we want to do is we want to play the arpeggio. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say arpeggio. Okay. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to set up a root note for this. Okay, because it's like the boom, 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 boom. That's the root note. Okay, so right now I'm going to set up the root note to be 60, which is actually here. Let's look this up for a sec. If I go here and look at the MIDI note chart, okay. Actually, let's start it out on a lower number here. We could start it out maybe on like I don't know, middle C. I think is either 4 or 6, 4 or 5 here. So let's start out on 48. We'll have and the code from like C in the 4th octave is 48. Okay, so we'll start out on that. Okay. So the root note is going to look like this, and it's going to equal we said here 48. Okay. So it's going to equal 48. Okay. So then we're going to play our arpeggio, and what we're going to do is if the button state's on, I'm going to play it on whatever the starting on whatever the root note is. So I'm going to pass to it the root note. Okay. And that's all good. And that's basically what we need to do. And if I try to run this right now or compile it, I'm going to save it. Okay, so you're going to save it, like call it like arpeggio. Player, like MIDI, something like that. Okay, and we're going to save it. And then what's going to happen here is, well, one, I got a problem here. Like if you can identify the problem is I don't have a semicolon. Okay, and it's going to give me another one that's going to go, it doesn't really know what arpeggio player is. Okay, and that means I have to make up a function. So what I'm going to do is before setup, before loop, okay, I'm going to make another one of these kind of things. Void means return nothing. So it's going to do its job and then just stop. And it's going to play arpeggio. Okay. And there we go. Okay. And let's see if I verify that. Okay. Oh, I forgot to okay, this I have to tell it that it should expect an integer for like root. Okay. And there it goes. And it's basically ready to go. Okay. Now I'm gonna add some more stuff to it. Okay. But for right now you can go like this. You can say serial print line. Okay. Going to play arpeggio using, and then we can figure out what root is. Okay, and this way we can sort of check it. Okay, and that's kind of it right now. Okay, so if we get this done and you can get this compiled, then that's great. Okay, so what I want to see is I want to see a screenshot of this as compiled, and we'll pick up, we'll write the arpeggio part tomorrow. Okay, great. So talk to you later.